Welcome to Coffee Date with Spirit. Grab your favorite mug and get cozy while your hosts, Kristen Forno and Amy Potter, two maybe not so ordinary mystics, chat about the extraordinary magic that can happen when you invite spirit into your life. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Amy. How are
I know
you
how I
today?
know how you're doing today, so I don't have to ask.
Good.
But yeah, do you want to share how you're feeling right now in this moment?
Well, I'm feeling better because I connected with you. Let
Yeah,
me just say that. I
I
am. I'm
say.
feeling more sane. I'm feeling more in my body. I'm feeling more like I know who I am.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good place to start. If we don't know what's going on and we don't know the truth, at least we can tune in and say, like, I know who I am. I know who,
Yes.
or I know who I'm becoming, you know?
Yes.
So
I
I
know
think
who I
that's a,
want to be. I know who
yeah,
I want to be in this moment.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
Hey,
I will just say I felt like everything's moving really fast, swiftness. I've just pulled a card of
yeah.
shuffling, and I've felt very numb and unable to move. That's
Yeah, you
it's
know,
been a pervasive feeling for me. So,
when we were catching up earlier, you were talking about being in this like nervous system freeze, which I completely am right there with you, trying to pull myself out of that place. But I never really thought about it in terms of everything right now, the momentum, not only in the season, like we are in the season of Imbolc, which is the stirring of spring. It's like the other day I was going on a walk and I noticed with the dogs, and I noticed like all of these little holes in the ground of the animals burrowing up through them. And like the week before that, like they were like tucked in, you know? So
uh,
we've had a little warming spell. And so I was like, yeah, the earth is waking up. And so the momentum of the year, we're gaining that momentum. But like all of the momentum and the craziness and nuttiness around us, I go into that like freeze nervous system because it's so chaotic. And so I
well,
feel
fight or flight, and you're a fighter. Like
yeah,
you'll stand up, and I go inside and
yeah,
still, and I used to be more of like, what can I do? Like I would be really great in a crisis, and now I don't think I'm that person right now.
yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how to shift back into life in this. So this Imbolc stirring like really resonates with me because I, I know that I'm sitting within this body somewhere, but everything around me is just swirling and swirling and swirling.
Yeah.
And I am trying to find my ways to process this stuff and realizing like I need to do a lot of work on my root chakra, and I need to, you know, really actually be grounded so
Yeah.
that I can get a sense of my bearings and then have some intentional action. But in order
Yeah.
to do that, I feel like I have to release some of what's inside.
Oh, for sure. I went to an exercise class this morning. Uh,
Exciting.
I was telling you earlier that when I got up, I rolled out of bed, but I've been sleeping late. It was 8 o'clock and I rolled out of bed and I was mumbling to Jamie and I was like, "Man, it's an exercise class." And he was like, "What'd you say?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I gotta get ready for this exercise class." And he was like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, and now I'm like, sort of like up and trying to find workout clothes to put on because I don't get dressed anymore. I just wear my PJs all day. I even saw a client in my PJs, yes,
Oh
last
my
night.
God, that's
And I'm like,
amazing.
by the way, I'm not getting dressed. So, I mean, I wear really cute PJs, but I'm not getting dressed. So, anyway, so I'm like looking for my workout clothes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the community center and I'm gonna go to the Tamba. We call it Tamba. It's a Zumba class. And he was like, "Oh, I thought you were sleepwalking this morning." So but I did get my ass out of bed, and because it's been a couple years since I've gone to his class, and it's just so joyful. Like he's got such great taste in music, and he's an actor and a musician and a playwright, and he's just an amazing human. So yeah, I went, and it was really interesting because I too like am in this like I just want to burrow. Like I'm like, oh, it's still winter. Like it's not, we're not at Imbolc. Like I just still want to be in this very still place. And he does beautiful stretches and like whatever the dance movements are. But I could feel my sacral chakra just start to open up and move. And because we do all of these like hip circles, we dance, we're like doing the cha-cha-cha. And I almost at one point got really emotional. Like I could feel those emotions like opening up out of the sacrum. And so I'm gonna attempt to pull, does class twice a week. So I'm gonna attempt to add that into my processing mode. Because like sure, the exercise is great, but I told him, I was like, oh, the exercise is secondary to the reason why I'm here. Like I need to come and like move, like literally just move. It's not about
Yes.
it's just about like getting out of that stuck place. And joy. Like I just laugh and smile. And like I used to take dance when I was younger, but learning all the moves and the like,
Yes.
he doesn't call
I
them
did
toddler.
Zumba once. I
You
did
did.
that once. And it was a long time ago, but it is like there's a lot to it. And
You
it
have to
is,
be very coordinated.
yeah, you do. I'm not very good at that, but it is flowy and it is
It
movement.
is, yeah.
And I chose my movement this week was getting down to the beach. I got down there twice. I'm going today and I'm gonna go tomorrow, so I'll have missed
Oh,
Wednesday, but getting a walk in on the beach and bare feet. So I get the benefits of the actual grounding from earth and the sand and the minerals and the water. And of course, the water as an element being a great way to
and
release and transform. And even sticking your feet in cold water gives you benefit of like the
yeah.
plunge without the plunge.
And the
And then
salt water is also so cleansing too.
and then yesterday I had a massage.
Oh, you lucky, you
I
lucky.
know
So
I
what you
haven't.
want me to say to what you just said? La 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 la. La. I can't hear you. I don't want to know that you get to walk on the beach and go for a massage.
What kind of life is this,
I,
right? Like,
yeah,
well, all
that's
else
cool.
is like on fire there. And
Um,
I say that with a gentle
yeah,
heart, but I do have an amazing life and
yeah,
I don't take it for granted. I have desires for it to be a little different right now, but I'm also incredibly
yeah.
blessed, you know.
I
I want to say before we
yeah.
even go any further, while I was just messing,
Yep.
playing the cards while we were doing,
Yeah.
just gonna die. I'm using my Handle deck, which happens to have a lot of Native American energy in it
Uh-huh.
and a lot of symbolism and all this. But the card I pulled for the session, which is perfect because this is what I need to release, is the Devil.
Oh,
That's the card. It's a unicorn,
wow.
but it's the Devil.
Oh,
And
it's so that card is so interesting. It's got
it's
a snake
beautiful. It
in it,
has a snake. The unicorn has a third eye, a crystal. The crystal is the actual
but
horn.
everything's dark. So it's
It's
like
dark.
almost just bringing all those beautiful symbols into light.
Yeah, let me read what
Wow.
it says. And then let me tell you what's on the bottom because you're just gonna.
You know what also is so cool, really quick about that card? So we talked about the season of Imbolc. So in the tradition that I study, the Avalonian wheel, in Imbolc, Bridget, the goddess Bridget's associated with the serpent because the serpent would put its head
Yes.
up as a harbinger for spring. And then she's associated with the unicorn as well. So this
Oh,
is,
interesting.
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna blow your mind in a second then. Okay,
Okay.
so the devil, and there are a couple words used. So it's the 15th card in the deck. Ayin, Ayin,
Okay.
I, Eol, Eolh, elk or man. It's Capricorn. The picture is organized around a diagonal line, broken by a crystal, which transforms the aggressive instinct of the devil. The snake is an image of rebirth and the visionary experience, and also of evil. The devil has 3 horns and 3 eyes and wears a stone diadem. Diadem? I don't know how to pronounce
Diadem. I think it's a diadem.
diadem.
Mm-hmm.
The divinatory meaning something exciting, possibly dangerous or forbidden, temptation, physical gratification, exploring darker feelings, wild action opens up new areas in life. It's kind of like exploring darker feelings and then wild action. I'm right there with it. I'm right
Yeah.
there. So I then just looked on the bottom of the deck to
Uh-huh.
see what I pulled, which is just
Yeah.
grounding all this. Bridget. Not even kidding. This is, I mean, daughter of cups in the north, the princess of
No.
cups, Bridget of Ireland.
What?
It's like, holy cannoli. Okay. Princess of cups. Where is this? I can't even believe that.
I mean, but we can.
I mean, I can,
We
because
can.
spirit is always,
And we
always.
haven't even called in spirit.
We
That's
didn't even call in spirit yet. I
fun.
was just doing the reading. I was just messing with the cards while you were, what did I say?
Yammering on about my
I was
thing.
just shuffling. Daughter of Cups. Bridget was a goddess of the Celts. When she was made a saint by Christian Ireland, she became patron of livestock and produce, as well as all of poetry, prophecy, and divination. The meanings are calmness and radiance, peacefulness and strength of character. She's with us.
She is with us. So I was, yeah, I was going to bring, this is perfect because my next share was that one of the ways that I have also been processing is through my work as a Reiki master. And I have a weekly client. Well, I guess my client is the human, but I see one of her horses on a weekly basis. And it is just the most extraordinary connection that I have with him. And
This one you sent me a picture of?
and
Oh,
so
yeah.
week, I mean, that's the second time he did it, but like this, I think the first time that I saw him when he moved to this barn, he laid down like within 10 minutes of me starting to work on him. And I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, that's
Which
it.
it's very unusual for horses to, I mean, like
To feel that safe.
yeah, yeah. So last week he laid down and within 5 minutes of me starting work on him. So he went and laid down and I tucked in with him like right at his shoulder and snoozed with him. And I mean, and it was really interesting to watch him and to witness what was happening in my body. So I'm mostly right now I'm working on him on an emotional level and physical too, but really he has his guard up around people and not outwardly like you wouldn't when you would be like, oh, he's so friendly, whatever, but like energetically he has his walls up
Huh.
and just doesn't, he's been through a lot. So as I'm working on him and tucked in his shoulder, like his eyes are kind of, you can see his eyes rapidly, he's processing. I mean, his eyes are rapidly opening and closing. And then like every once in a while, his whole body twitches. And then he kind of stretches up and then he would seek out my hand and he put his muzzle in my hand. And they actually have a chakra that I want to say is like 3 or 4 inches. It's our Earth Star chakra, but their Earth Star chakra is off their nose.
Oh,
So ours are
off of it.
below,
Okay.
yeah, ours are below our feet, but
Yeah.
theirs is off the muzzle. And so like he 4 times he found my hand and then would like get heavy and heavy in my hand and let me pull. I mean, I held his head and I could feel all of this stuff just coming up and through me. And he's holding a lot of grief. And I always just tell him like, I love you so much. I love you so much. And when I say that, you just feel him open. But at one point I'm leaning into him like, because like the chest is right at the heart chakra. So I'm leaning on his chest. So like we're heart to heart basically. And I'm thinking like, wait a minute, who's healing who here?
Oh, right. Absolutely.
And it was just
Wow.
such a, I carry a lot of grief and we both, I think we're just like
Helping each
processing
other.
at the same time. So I went to see him. I see him on Wednesdays. So I went to see him yesterday and it took a little longer. He wanted, like, he finished up his hay and put himself in position. He goes and stands at the back of the stall. He's like, okay, I'm ready. And he's hysterical. He's so hello. And this is like super unusual for horses to like say like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm ready. Like it's really, really cute. So I start working on him. And it took like maybe 20 minutes this time. And we got a lot of amazing connection and some energy. And then he went and laid down and I did it as like tucked in at his shoulder again and just was like held there and I cried with him. And it was just so interesting to have that outlet and to be, I mean, I had really, really, really close bonds with my horses, but like
Yeah.
this isn't even my horse. And it,
Picture you sent, like the love and the relief.
yeah,
And
yeah.
There's just something that comes through the photo too.
Yeah. And I've got like 20 more of them from yesterday.
Wow.
Like, this is
Wow.
our new thing. Like, how amazing. And granted, like, I am going during nap time for him,
Yeah.
and he is a
Yeah.
horse that likes to nap. But
Yeah.
there's many horses that would wait until I was gone, and then they
Yeah. Yeah.
but
And to feel that safe with you
yeah,
right there while he's
yeah.
sleeping. He
I
looks
mean,
so happy. I mean, the happiness just pours through.
it's
So,
amazing. So that's been
wow.
another way that I have been wading
Process.
my way through this nuttiness.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I think that's, you know, whereas the last few weeks I've just been like connected into news cycles and people's fear and all this
Yeah.
stuff thrown at me, the fire hose. It's like, oh, wait, I don't have to let that come my way all the time. I can be aware, but I can also like take
Yeah.
care of my
Take care
spirit
of
in
you.
some way.
Oh, I remember I brought him up because like Bridget is the goddess of the domestic animals too.
Yeah.
So as you read in that card, and so I
Yes.
always call her in when I work with him. So like we just both kind of wallow in that. So she's a maiden goddess, a fire goddess, and the goddess of your birthday, which we'll talk about, I guess, maybe next week on the show.
Yeah.
Um,
We have a
but
special guest coming to talk about
yeah,
that.
but yeah, so when I first started, my first equine Reiki client actually was at a farm named after Bridget.
Wow.
And yeah, and on Kildare Lane, and this huge, like beautiful white mare. And she was the only other horse that's laid down like that for me. And Bridget's
Wow.
fire just came in and like cleared. I mean, it was so the connection with Bridget and the horses is really strong for me. So
When you just said Bridget's fire came in and cleared, I got this like back of my skull. I can't describe the sensation, but it just like pulled on my skull. That was
But
very weird.
yeah, she is a fire goddess and a goddess of alchemy, of transformation, and which is why the snake is one of her symbols. And so, and she's the goddess of the forge and the blacksmiths. So
And
um
then you have a necklace
I
on.
do that my husband gave me for Christmas this year.
Oh,
Yeah, it has some beautiful, and I can't remember which county it's from, but there's a specific green stone because she's associated with early spring. It has a beautiful green stone from Ireland. Well,
and
it's
her
her
cross,
cross,
right?
her
Like
St. Bridget's
her,
cross. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's beautiful. Yeah,
Um,
you can tell it's just slightly different in
mhm.
shape.
I'm typically made out of rush, these, and but I have a willow tree, so I've made a couple out of willow. So anything that's bendy.
I wonder if
Um,
I could pick up some palms down here and make it
yeah, yeah,
be
that
good.
would be fun.
Yeah, I could try to find some right now would probably be a good time.
Yeah. We could get together and I could teach you. A friend of mine from Ireland, he's so cute. I think I am his connection to the old world for him. And because he's always sending me like one of the traditions around Imbolc is for the night before to take a sacred piece of cloth. Like I have this fabric that I designed and had a sample made of it. And so you put it outside the night before in bulk, and Bridget comes by and blesses them. So this is like a way
Oh, wow.
to connect with her energy throughout the year.
Oh, that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
did I didn't do anything like that. I don't know enough of the ritual. I just know of her name and I didn't even realize that my birthday was on, associated with her and Imbolc. I knew it was associated with Imbolc, but only,
Yeah. Yeah.
barely. I haven't really studied in that realm, but
And
I'm
she is the goddess
excited.
of the healers too. So it makes sense. When I started working with her, I was like, oh, well, this makes sense now.
Yeah. Yes.
The
Yes.
work that you do. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I think we were talking earlier that we're going to do a couple things on this episode of this podcast that we love so much. One is we're going to do this is all about emotional clearing, this particular
Yeah.
episode
Emotional processing, like
process.
getting
Mhm.
what's inside out.
Yes. Yes. And in talking about this, Amy and I were thinking like it would be wonderful to have kind of a community approach to some of this work. But before we even get into that, we said, why don't we get on an episode, do a little bit of emotional processing, and then talk about what we think would be a wonderful offering for the community to join us as we
Yeah.
need our own emotional processing
Yeah.
outlet.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we're going to do today is a little guided visualization. Well, but we may want to do a short invocation before we do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go into a guided visualization that'll take about 10 minutes. And then we'll talk about our community offering.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, good. Do you want to do the invocation since I'm going to do the...
Sure. Sure.
Okay. That makes me happy.
Short.
Okay.
Let's just begin by drawing our awareness to our bodies, feeling into our beautiful bodies, our water-filled bodies.
Mhm.
And then just starting to breathe into the heart. And this is a quick way that I do to connect with earth and spirit. On the in-breath, breathing in Mother Earth, bringing her love, her support, her strength, breathing in love to the heart. Breathing in Mother Earth. And just noticing your body start to feel more solid, more grounded, more connected. And then adding in on the exhale, I imagine my crown opening up and all of this star wisdom, this cosmic wisdom, this divine love spilling into the crown and landing in the heart. So we're breathing up Mother Earth, and on our exhale, we're inviting in spirit, meeting in the heart. Inhale, earth. Exhale, inviting in spirit. And from this beautiful place of connection between the earth and the stars in our heart, we invite in the angels to surround us with their light, their love, their guidance, their protection, asking the archangels to hold space for us. And a beautiful orb of light that goes deep into the earth and high into the stars. I invite in any light workers, any light beings to lend their wisdom and their heart. The ascended masters, goddess Bridgid, the divine masculine God. I invite in the elements, Bridget's fire, the holy water from her wells, bringing their cleansing, their flow. Inviting in earth, the earth of early spring, the seeds, the sparks of inspiration that she brings. And air, this breath. And I invite in our animal guides, Bridget's unicorn and her snakes. Our plant guides and our mineral guides. Kristen, do you have any other of our guides that you want to invite in?
I would add to bring through our ancestors.
Yes.
To support us in this clearing, in this processing, to help us heal the lineage, heal the lines, and the divine feminine as well as our divine masculine. And I have a desire to say the word horses.
I almost did too, and then I it over. So to invite in the beautiful energy of the horse
Hmm.
and any of my horses that have helped me live in my heart in such a profound way. And then to invite in, lastly, the spirit of Coffee Date with Spirit.
Great one. And all of those who serve our highest good.
Yeah. May our work be blessed.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome.
I feel so connected, and I can't believe how much can pack into my heart space, like just more, 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 more. And then have this like flower of life pattern in my eye space that's green with this like radiating purple. So beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, this is a perfect space to go into this next technique. And just as a setup for this, if you're listening, I would advise you to listen to it when you're not in the car driving. Find a sacred space, a space that makes you feel held, where you won't be interrupted. Be comfortable. Let yourself just really listen to the visualization, hear it, but don't have any sense that anything has to happen here. It all works on an unconscious level. So
And
have
if
some
you
moment.
do, I mean, I'm not sure which practice, but in general, with guided visualizations, if your mind does start to wander, just to return your awareness to your breath.
Yes, exactly. And if you choose to lay down, that's okay. I would advise sitting up because this is a somatic process that even slight movements and adjustments are going to help move things. Okay. Are you ready to begin?
I've been ready. Definitely
Okay.
ready.
I'm reading this because this is a very long script.
Okay.
And I'll explain a little bit about this first. Let me just give you the little. So this is called the advanced my horse over there is listening. I don't know if you heard that big
She's
groan.
she's like, oh, we're gonna do this. Okay.
Yeah. So okay, I won't go. You know what? I'll just start it. This is called the emotional clearing method. The version that I'm going to do today is the advanced method, which really can make things more efficient in working with clients like I do if they have a short amount of time or in sessions like this. But this could take 2.5, 3 hours with a client in a session. It helps overcome limiting beliefs, stuck traumas, negative emotions, working on the unconscious level. And it uses a couple of different modalities. So thought pattern management, NLP, regression, and it addresses neural pathways. And it sounds like hypnosis, but it's not technically hypnosis. So don't worry about that. But it's using all these different modalities to bring it all together. So if you ever have questions on that, anybody can reach out to me. Okay, let's begin. So close your eyes.
Before we do this, like my hands and my legs, is that good? Like I just have them on my my
Whatever
lap,
feels comfortable.
my laps.
Your laps. You can put them on your laps. Your
I have
ethereal lap and the
laps
one here too.
infinity.
You
Okay.
can just sit comfortably and don't worry, you can move if you need to adjust. Like you don't have to stay still.
Okay.
You'll just be closing your eyes so you can remove all sensory experience. Just listen to my voice.
Already yawning. This is good already.
Okay. All right. So close your eyes. As you're sitting here with your eyes closed, notice the sounds of the room. You might even hear sounds outside. Give yourself permission to relax and be. There's nothing for you to do here. Remember that the emotional clearing method is an unconscious process, so give yourself permission to consciously check out whatever happens or doesn't happen. Whatever you consciously experience or don't is totally fine. You might see something visually, you might get a sense of a feeling, or nothing at all. Whatever you experience is completely fine. Begin moving your attention to your breath. Just focusing on your breath. Maybe you can even hear your own breath. Just begin to allow your breath to deepen. Have deep, relaxed breaths without forcing them. Breathing all the way down to the base of the belly. And as you exhale, allowing the body to relax more and more, feeling the tension leaving your neck, leaving your shoulders, and feeling your entire arms relax. Noticing the organs in your body and your stomach muscles completely relaxing. Your hands relax, your legs relax, all the way down to your feet and your ankles. Every part of your body, every muscle in your body, completely relaxed. What I want you to do is imagine your life as a timeline. It stretches all the way out to the beginning and all the way out into the future. Now, what I want you to do is imagine that you float up and all the way back into the past, all the way back even before your timeline begins. Floating all the way back to before you were born, before you were created, floating all the way back. Once you get all the way back, I want you to float there for a moment. As you are floating there, ask your unconscious mind to integrate any lessons you need in order to heal, grow, and expand. Ask your unconscious mind to integrate those learnings or lessons now. Now, imagine that you move forward and land down on the beginning of your timeline. Now, imagine that the crown of your head begins to open and a healing light, a light of healing and love begins to fill you. It begins to pour into your head, filling up your entire body, pouring down to your feet, filling your legs, filling your hips, filling your belly, your entire torso. That healing light and love fills your chest and neck, your full head, your arms, and that healing light begins to pour out of you, to overflow or beam out of your hands. In your imagination, I want you to turn towards the future. I want you to move forward on your timeline, reaching your hands forward. You are projecting that healing light out of your hands. That healing light that is flowing into you and through you is getting projected out of your hands and up your entire timeline. Imagine that you begin moving up your timeline only as quickly as each and every occurrence of negative emotions and limiting beliefs, or any kind of beliefs that hold you back from truly being your true full self, are drenched in that healing light and completely healed. Any beliefs that don't serve you, any negative emotions, any one of those occurrences are going to get drenched in that healing light and be completely dissolved. I want you to move all the way forward on your timeline, only as quickly as you feel that each and every occurrence of those limiting beliefs and negative emotions is healed. I want you to move all the way forward, even passing now, taking that healing all the way out into the future. That healing light is flowing into you and through you and getting projected out of your hands and up your entire future timeline. Imagine that you begin moving up your timeline only as quickly as each and every occurrence of negative emotions and limiting beliefs, or any kind of beliefs that hold you back from truly being your full true self, are drenched in that healing light and completely healed. Any beliefs that don't serve you, any negative emotions, any one of those occurrences are going to get drenched in that healing light and be completely dissolved. I want you to move all the way forward on your timeline, only as quickly as you feel that each and every occurrence of those limiting beliefs and negative emotions is healed. When you feel like that is complete, I want you to come all the way back. Float all the way back to before you were, before the beginning of your timeline. Land down, turn towards now, step onto your timeline and move all the way forward, continuing to project that healing light, coming all the way back to now, only as quickly as each and every occurrence of negative emotions and limiting beliefs can be completely healed. I want you to come all the way back to now. Keep going all the way out into the future, taking all of that healing, projecting it out into the future. And when you feel like that's complete, I want you to float up and back, coming right back into now. Inhale through the nose. Open the mouth and exhale. Slowly open the eyes. Whatever you experienced or did not experience through, that is fine. Trust that your unconscious mind got something from the process and that it was effective. We'll see how that unfolds in your life. Notice over the next few days how your perspectives might shift, how your feelings and beliefs might shift. Take notice of that. Having no expectation, just allowing that to blossom and unfold for you.
It just started to snow. It's been icing and raining all day, and it just started to snow.
That gave me goosebumps.
Wow.
How'd that feel? What did you
Amazing.
experience? What did you experience? Can you
Yeah,
share?
I experienced even before you guided us to go back before this lifetime timeline. I was way, way back many lifetimes ago. And I can't, it's funny because I can't quite put into words exactly what I was healing, but it does have to do with, my word of the year, which I think you've inspired me to paint, is witch this year.
Mm.
And it felt very much about this witch wound that
Wow.
people have been talking about. But this fear of, and to me, the witch wound is also the wound of anybody who's been oppressed. So, and the fear of being seen. And yeah, so that was the past that I was healing, was this, oh, being disempowered. Is that a word? And reclaiming that, but almost like it's, yeah, it was a softening of that rage and needing to claim space in a big way. I don't know, like yeah, it's amazing. It's just hard to find the words.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the future, there was a lot of like relationship stuff that I was healing and worthiness,
Huh.
and which I think feels related to the, like the way past timelines.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, you're worthy of feeling your own power and receiving. And yeah, and then it was interesting at one point, I dissolved this linearity of time, and it was just in this very big, vast bubble, almost like the calling in of the guides of that very
Yes,
protected bubble.
yes.
The time ceased to be frontwards and backwards and more everywhere.
Love that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that practice. It's amazing. And I could see how you could spend a lot of time with that exercise.
Yeah, typically what'll happen with clients is I'll say, cue me. You'll hear
Uh-huh.
me mention when you feel like that's complete.
Right. Yeah. And you float back on the
Yeah.
timeline.
But if
Yeah.
you're not complete, we just go through another. I did 2 rounds of
Yeah.
it, like just went back to push more light back
Mm-hmm.
through. Normally, I think the recording I did last week, I just did one, but I thought 2 felt right
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
short form with you. And then, yeah, clients can queue and you can actually be working on a particular problem
Yeah.
and attempting to heal it and
Yeah.
going a couple rounds specifically to make sure it's dissolved.
Yeah. I can,
See dissolution.
yeah. I can feel there's a spaciousness in my sacrum that I started working on today in exercise class. And there was a continuation of just like creating space in the sacrum for self-expression, right? This creativity.
And I just have a curious question for
Yeah.
you, like curiosity. Did you see like in your head, are you seeing yourself pushing the timeline? Like I experience it as I can see my hands,
Mm,
but I don't see, and I actually see a little thing float, but when it's the light, I feel it and I see my hands, but I don't really see anything else, hands and light,
yeah.
nothing
No,
else there. Just curious.
so it was really interesting. Like, yeah, I had a similar visualization there, but it's interesting. At one point, I felt both the light that I was pushing or like uh,
Radiating.
radiating was actually coming like through my back.
Yeah.
So it was like
Yes.
this hole in my body that was actually radiating all the way backwards in time and all the way forwards.
Amazing.
Um, and I got certain visuals of seeing myself sort of like flashbacks, it's like, oh, I saw myself in this lifetime and I saw myself, or I saw in the future, it's like, oh, I saw myself at my death. I saw myself like at my mom's death. I saw myself
Oh,
like different specific events in the future timeline. And then a lot like, oh, at this very like beautiful house at the beach and just this like, this like space there. So I got like different images like kind of flooded in every once in a while.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's
but in the future, I didn't necessarily see me in the future, but I did see like an embodied me in the past. So
interesting. Wow.
yeah, yeah,
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I'm always so curious, like,
yeah.
because I feel like I'm one of those people, those 10% of people who can't see
Mhm.
images in their brain, but I get certain things. But I think
Yeah,
most of it is when I'm guided
yeah.
to see it versus like having spontaneous seeing. So that's interesting to me.
And
Well,
I definitely feel lighter.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Well, for
Thank you,
anyone
Kristen.
who listens to this, I would love to know what you experienced. Like, I'd love for you to email us, send us a note, and just help us see if this is valuable. I
Mhm.
love doing this with clients. It's one of my
Yeah,
favorite.
I bet. I mean, I would definitely love to do a session with you around this.
It's so fun. It just
Yeah.
feels so good. And I really connected to you while it was happening.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
And yeah, so at first I was thinking it's for the collective and holding space for everyone, but inevitably I'm looking at you and talking and I, am conscious of some things that you've gone through and are going through. So I felt myself ground, like travel to you, connect. And then I
Uh-huh.
felt myself sending light
Yeah.
to you for use, like
Yeah.
whatever that is. I could feel it. And my hands were open the
Like,
whole time,
yeah. Wow.
which I don't know if I do that or not. I just was very
Yeah.
feel the energy like coming through. It was pretty neat. And then one part, I think what made me go back through the second time is the a feeling almost of what was it? It wasn't pain or sadness, but it was somewhere in between that was
Mhm.
with you
Yeah.
and just feeling like go back through to just move it.
Yeah. There was definitely a lot of that came up as far as, oh gosh, I definitely worked through this disconnection I feel with my mom right now. And we're just in a really hard place. And I was like, it's just not natural for me to have relationships that are so, and she even said to me the other day, she's like, how'd she phrase it? Oh yeah, she said, you've like shut me out these days. Like you're not, we're not connected anymore. And I was like, yeah, I've had to protect myself. And yeah, like for
I
sure.
mean, that's actually interesting because it could be that you have cut a cord,
Yeah. She
you
feels
know?
it she definitely is so sensitive too. We're very connected and she knows when I do that. So, but it's yeah,
I'm sure you're like,
self-preservation.
I'm sure you know how to do that. Like, let me just not that.
Yep. But it's very sad for me to feel that way. And I think it started, and this is ties into the witch wound that, when I was doing my goddess priestess training, she was, she was not very receptive to that and very threatened and very scared for me. And she kept saying, like, when we went to do our initiation as priestesses and we went to the Serpent Mound in Ohio, which is this like ancient effigy. It's so cool. And she was like, why are you going there? Like, do devil worshippers go there? And I was like, are you suggesting that I'm worshiping the devil, Mom? And then she kept asking me, she's like, do you worship goddess? Do you worship her? Do you, what does it mean? And I was like, and I felt so attacked, and that I got defensive. And she's like, yeah, and the more defensive you get, the more guilty you look. And I was like, I don't even know where to go with this, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
because and I tried to say, when you ask me questions in the manner that you are asking me, there is no opening for conversation and connection here, Mom. And I
Yeah.
said, I have a lot of people who ask me questions about my priestess and goddess work, and like I love talking about it. But they're like, they come from a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
You're coming from a place of judgment and fear, and I don't feel safe to have this conversation with you in the way you're asking me.
Yeah.
And so it would just go around and around. And so that was a huge part of like, okay, I got to cut her out of my life in that way, and just
Or
not
learn how to
share.
manage the threads that are connected to her, and
Right,
that one
right,
gets shut off and this one is shut off. And
right. So it's interesting that, but now she, like, my doula work and my Reiki work, and like she is very accepting of that. And like the my friend's mom, who I was there to help when she transitioned, like I told my mom stories about it, and she's like, this is amazing, and the connection that you brought to the family, and like there's an aspect of my work that she is so wanting to be connected to, and it is opening her beliefs and her, I don't know, opening her world in some ways. So it was, so that, yeah, that came up in this timeline work, and was, I think we could do 3 hours on that. But
mm.
yeah, it's a powerful exercise. I can't remember, you asked, it was something, I don't remember why I went on that
Yeah,
tangent.
just we were talking about what you felt, and
Yeah.
but my experience of the energy, and
Yeah.
through some
And
a
then
little.
holding space for that pain and the grief, and it's very painful because I want to be connected with her. So in the future timeline, I really felt this possibility of like, Amy, just call her like you used to,
Yeah.
just open yourself back up. And then like, whoo, this flood of hurt comes with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Huh.
So I'm gonna try that today. See how it goes.
Sounds like a good option.
Well, this feels like a good transition into an extension of this work of emotional clearing. And Kristen and I have been talking for several weeks. We've been in this like holding pattern a little bit, like, hey, what do we do? How do we help ourselves? And how do we help our community? And we were like, yeah, let's get on a call once a week and do meditations. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And in the process of working through this, I got this hit from spirit that was like, my husband sent me this. We follow Kat, what's her last name? She's a bass player, I think, for Ryan Adams.
Popper.
And
Popper.
yeah, Popper. So she's a pretty well-known bass player, and she has this hysterical Instagram account where she just kind of playfully makes fun of the ridiculousness of life. And so she hopped on and said, hey, like, how do we get through this? And she said, creativity and doom make terrible bedfellows. I was like, oh, this is so great. Like, to connect to our own life force through creativity feels resonant and good. She's like, yeah, make art, make bad art. It doesn't matter. And it reminded me of a journal, like a painting journal that I used to keep, that is not next to me right now, even though it was, oh, I just photographed it for our offering, but I doodled before bed every night, in part to just keep the paintbrush moving. But secondly, like it would come through, like I paint my grief. I would write that down and I would just paint whatever came through. And it's a way to like not have to talk about shit, because sometimes talking about stuff winds you up more.
It's
And
counterproductive
yeah.
sometimes.
And so just going through and feeling in your body, and like sometimes it was like I paint my joy, I paint my hope, but I like at least half of them were painting more of the complicated emotions, you know? And some of the paintings, they had looked pretty, some of them didn't, but they were all very gestural, and you don't have to have any skill with mediums, paint, drawing, whatever, just to,
I have zero skill,
but yeah,
and
you don't
yeah,
need to.
zero skill.
And just to put that on paper, to paint it and like look at it and go, oh wow, that's like, I have one that is basically just black and red paint all over the page, but it feels good to do it, you know, and to witness whatever the emotions come up. Like I'm looking at, the book is open across the room, and I'm looking at one of the paintings, and it's like it's very muddy, everything's muddy, and I remember painting it and going like, Amy, this art is ugly, Amy, this art is ugly, Amy, it's ugly, you're ugly. And like allowing yourself just to feel all of those things that we tuck away and we don't acknowledge on a conscious level, and all of a sudden you start painting and feelings come up and out. So I think we want to do it like a five weeks of that, and it's called Inside Out, and just getting anything that's inside that wants to come out. And because those are energetic blocks in the body that are preventing us from inviting spirit and our joy and our connection in. So yeah.
Yeah, they're taking up space.
Yeah.
And we were saying too that it's, if you've heard of somatic exercises these days, art is a great somatic processing. It's processing emotions out of the body
Yeah.
and witnessing them separate from yourself in front of you.
Mm.
And there's so much you can do to help understand and further elicit them from. So some you'll feel like you're just channeling your rage sometimes, right, onto a paper, but you can also ask yourself, and we'll do this in our practice, like, where am I feeling tight
Yeah.
emotions? Where do they reside? What color are they? How big are they? What do they feel like? And all that stuff gets translated onto the paper and out.
Yeah.
And it's a super powerful process. I'm
Yeah.
very excited for it because my current way to handle my feelings is to sit still and
Yeah.
stew in that.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
not good for anybody.
Nope. Yeah.
Definitely not good for me.
But if
Wow.
you are in that freeze mode, like I find that this is a really great way, because I can relate to being in freeze mode. I'm like, I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to exercise. And so this is actually a way to move without moving. It's moving
Yeah.
energy, and it's a really powerful practice. And I took a workshop several years ago. I think it was 2020, when everybody was feeling all of the things, and it was a Rothko workshop, and he painted in these big blocks of color, and the artist leading the workshop, and this is something that we'll do too, is like she just said, yeah, here's a list of a bunch of emotions, and she's like, I want you to paint, like pick 3 words and we're going to paint them, 3 words, and then 3 colors for each of the words. So it's very like, it's literally about as basic as you get, but it was really profound to get to see other people's work and say like, oh my gosh, like that has to be fear. And they were like, no,
Yeah.
no, this is anger. And, but whatever it is, it's such a personal process of just getting, getting the emotions and getting the feelings and then getting them on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Getting them out.
Yeah. Getting
And
them
we
out.
decided to call this, the community aspect of it, the holding space.
Yeah.
That was just a phrase that I've had for so long, and I have thought about it as a community, like a place you can go where there's no judgment. You're just with us, you're being held. We're holding space for you. We're holding space for others. You're holding space for yourself and others, and we all do that for each other.
Yeah.
And I love Inside Out because of that movie, by the way, the emotions. I don't know if you even remembered that
No,
connection,
uh-uh.
but when you did it, because the girls are, young enough where that movie Inside Out,
I don't even know the movie.
it's every character is the name of an emotion. and they
Talk
are,
about the collective unconscious. I must
I
have not
know.
into that.
You
That's
have to check it.
cool.
Like I haven't seen the new one, but the original
Okay.
one is really good. It's really sweet. It's beautiful for kids.
Oh, awesome.
But it's like, you don't have to be afraid. I don't have to be afraid of my rage right now or to name it or to see it. I just have to I just have to
Out.
acknowledge that it's there. And like, that's a lot of the work that I think
Yeah.
will be powerful in
Yeah.
doing it together.
Not making it into something. I mean, I think I want to reiterate that this container is not about making art.
Yeah.
It's about expressing your creativity. And I think that there's such a difference between, and I have a huge problem. It's one of my blocks that I'm working through is not judging what I make. And so this is very much a space of not learning how to make art. It's learning how to express what's inside and
Release.
through
Yeah.
through a creative process. Yeah, I probably will use watercolors, but there's also a bunch of, I mean, you can use colored pencils, you can use what are your crayons?
Great boss. I found the
Love
box.
it. Oh my God.
Look at them. They're used. They're so cute. They're
Oh,
amazing.
so the crayons are, I think that they are a pastel, right? An oil
Yes.
pastel.
They're oil pastels. The original oil pastels. This was my favorite color. Obviously, blue. I mean, blue.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh my God.
Everything blue. Oh, yeah. Like, look at that. Just like
It's
beautiful.
so satisfying. And then
And
the other ones, I have some water soluble pastels that are really fun too. That's what I actually did the Rothko workshop with. And then you can take a paintbrush to them. I love
I
it.
don't know if you can really see. Ooh.
Okay. So I'm excited about that. So Kristen and I are still working out the details of how to register, but we're going to be starting next Thursday. Is this correct? The 20th of February. So
20th, which is 2 Thursdays from
Yeah.
now.
So February 20th to March 20th, 5 weeks, Thursdays from 12 to 1 Eastern time. So, and replays will be available. So, and depending on the group size, if there's a bunch of people that want to join us, we'll probably have limited sharing. But if it just ends up being a small group, then we'll have a chance to share and interact a little bit. So, yeah.
And it's drop-in style. So if you can't make every week, that's okay. Even if you could make one, that would be fine.
Yeah.
And we will post a list of supplies that you can, if you don't have any, because if you're like me, I had believed I didn't have any creative capability and bone in my body. And for years, I didn't have any art supplies other than the girls, which I could use my daughter's art supplies. I do have a bunch of paints over here, but we also
Crayons
have,
are good. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
like,
colored pencils. We also have a list though of some of our favorites that we'll post and you can
yeah.
just add to cart and have them sent your way. What
Uh,
else?
there was one more thing I wanted to say about that, but no, I don't remember. So I guess it's not important.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we wrap this up and hope to see you in our holding space.
Holding space.
Inside out. This theme is inside out.
I love it.
Well, thank you for that amazing practice today, Kristen. And we will be spinning it off too in its own bonus, like we usually do with some of the longer practices. It'll be available as a separate practice so you can return to it as many times as you want.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for being willing to do it with me. That was great.
Oh my gosh, I love all of this stuff. So I could just sit here and do all of this all day long.
Me too. Me too. Wouldn't that be amazing?
It sure would. That's what I'm putting in my future
Well,
timeline.
I mean, in some ways, that's what we're doing. So,
Yeah,
if I just focus on the fact that I do get to do this with you, it's so profound to me that we have made this happen.
I know.
You know, it's the best.
I agree. So thank you to everybody for listening.
Thank
We send
you.
you lots of love and lots of that healing light right now.
All right. Take care.
See you next time.